People challenged me, as someone who definitely plays a lot of Hrothgar, to make a male Viera that I actually wanted to play, and so I went into the Endwalker benchmark trailer open-minded and actually tried really hard, and I'm actually pretty happy with the results, honestly. Before I dive in, I know people are going to wonder where I got the benchmark from. The official benchmark link is down in the description below from the official Final Fantasy XIV website. Remember to only download from official sources, and remember to never download anything from unofficial or untrustworthy sources. So when I went into the benchmark to make my male Viera, I had a goal in mind. Punk rocker fantasy. And we are going right back to my teenage years. We're talking about My Chemical Romance. We are talking about Green Day. We are talking about Red Jumpsuit Apparatus. We are talking about The Fray. We are talking about Seether. We are talking about all of those. And yes, of course, Evanescence and Bullet for My Dead Valentine, of course. For the record, I still, of course, always love these songs. I think that's one thing that you never really grow out of, is it's just like, oh my god, I love this song. I still do. But yeah, Linkin Park in there too. One limitation that obviously comes in my way is everyone that knows me knows that if I had full control, I'd probably recreate some character looking like Antoine Vaillant or Conor McGregor. Y'all know me. Which is really cool because this actually pushes me into an aesthetic that is wildly different than what I'd normally choose, and so I'm really reliving those years and I am loving it. It is actually so good, and yeah, I'm gonna crank it as far as I can go, and I think I did pretty decently. So now I'm actually gonna go into the creation here, and the plan is to fast forward and then slow down during key narration parts, since I really did take the time in the character creator and I tweaked and customized as much as possible, and I'm not gonna have everyone sit through like a half an hour whatever long video. That's not cool. And I'm gonna explain my thought process for each individual decision here as I go. First thing, height. Maxed. I don't like to be small, and I would rather stand out even on Summoner or Scholar. My Hrothgar is maxed out in height. It's just the way that I choose to play these games. For skin color, I decided to go with as pale white as possible, which for me with tons of Scottish heritage is about as brutally accurate as you can get. I practically glow in the sunlight, and Navid is similar, but he does really tan well in real life, which I am really jealous of because I instead burn to death if I am exposed to the sun. So we are going as white as possible, and actually even later on in some of the footage, you're gonna notice I tweak this to be even whiter later, and it's really bad in real life, guys. I basically glow, literally. It's truly cursed. I mean, if I'm living my full punk rocker fantasy, this is accurate. Now, hairstyle was a challenge for me because a lot of these hairstyles are a lot softer than I'd usually opt to go for. I was hoping maybe for like a spiky short style, but when I was looking for hair, I was looking for grunge. I was looking for the edginess. I was looking for the ability to really make the colors pop and make it obviously punk rock. Black and red hair colors, obviously. Duh. But one thing that was tricky was finding a red that really stood out. And as someone who did many years ago, and it turned to regret, who did do black and red hair dye in real life as a teenager, oh my god. Oh my god. When I washed my hair, I remember that the red dye apparently just... It doesn't like warm showers, and it doesn't like most shampoos, so you need special shampoos, you need to do cold showers, and yeah, the red dye didn't survive that long, and it turned orange, and so the like black went out because I normally have like brown hair, and so like that went out. Well, brown with a little bit of blonde and a little bit of red. I'm a mess, but basically the black turned gray, the red turned orange, and so it was really tricky to find a red color in this game that looked red enough, popped out, and didn't look orange enough to trigger my slumbering internal teenage angst at the red dye being washed out. Oh my god. I didn't expect to be taken back there, but I was taken back there. And the hairstyle I finally decided on was the longer, very layered hairstyle that made all the highlights really pop out. I wasn't too happy with the feather because I always think whenever I'm choosing a hairstyle, will this clash with future armor sets? And I kept my fingers crossed and was like, let's hope not. But there wasn't really an option without it, so let's hope it pans out. That's one of the reasons why I didn't go for like the ones with the big metal piece, because I'm like, that's gonna interfere. So face is always tricky when you first go in because you aren't really sure until later in the options what kind of facial features you can have, like what kind of like beard can you have, for instance. And so I had to go back after adding the facial features like beard, tattoos, and the rest to make sure that I chose the best option for my particular goals. And so In general though, I wanted a face that had a stronger jawline and looked a bit more masculine just because that's more to my personal taste. Not for everyone, totally get it, but that was just for my vision personally. The jaw, I went for a thicker, more pronounced jaw just for similar reasoning. For eye shape, I had to go back into it many times because I like larger eyes in general just because it matches my own, especially for characters. It's just like I'm trying to live my punk rock fantasy. But the main question is, does the eye shape work with the jaw, the hair, the nose, and the rest, and when it's like all lined up? So I did aim for like larger, more masculine eyes that were very alert and tried kind of just to like make it all work. As you can see, like through the footage, like my end result was after a little bit of tinkering on here until I finally settled with a final appearance. Iris size, I did start off on large, but then I ultimately went to small because when you have all the pieces together, I decided that small looked better to my aesthetic vision than the large. It just looked a bit more pronounced to me. The smaller just seemed to be more cohesive. Eye color, obviously red. Can you really have an edgy rocker look without demonic eyes? Come on now. Eyebrows, easy. Biggest, bushiest, fuzziest masculine eyebrows. Nose was a bit tricky because I had to go in a few times and change it, especially near the end of customization. In general, I wanted a nose that was a bit wider and a little less petite, just something more pronounced that also worked with the rest of the face. Mouth, I wanted thin lips. This was purely because while many people might like bigger, more pronounced lips, I actually can firmly say that those are not for me personally, and they remind me of big old duck lips. Anyone remember the duck face selfies of that time? Oh man. No, not happening. The color is just the same as the skin color. For me personally, like I said before, I don't like the pronounced lips. So for ear shape, it's honestly the same goal as the hair. I wanted edgy, messy, crazy ears that popped with the red and black aesthetic. Ear length, you know what they say about Viera ear length, right? So the choice is obvious. Maximum ear length. Now facial features. Obviously I wanted the biggest facial hair, but the options, like the eye options, I also selected because they made the eyes pop out more. It just was a more pronounced and look just, I don't know, like more masculine, more pronounced. I mean, it's technically makeup, I guess, but it just tied the punk together for me. It really looked good. So the wisps of hair on the face I went with because I feel like they can also help to frame the entire face more, but they also go extremely well with the hair because we're going for that messy punk rock look, and why not the heck just go all in? Why not the heck? Why not the heck? For the tattoo, very similar to before, I liked the eyes being framed more. The color I went with was simply the black color just so that it would be like very imposing and very clear. But for the other tattoo that went across the face with geometric shapes, I was actually not fully sold on that, so I skipped that one altogether. I felt extremely comfortable with this given the face paint option that I chose. So for face paint, honestly have a ton of options for face paint, but the one option that stuck out to me above anything else was the like etched punk look. And I remember using something similar on my original male Makoti literally a bajillion years ago at this point, but for me I just didn't want it to overwhelm the entire face and take over the aesthetic. So when I was choosing colors, I spent a disgusting amount of time just trying all of the different colors out. So I went with the barely lighter than skin tone color just so that we could have like an impression of it on the face, adding an imperfection to the face, but especially because male Viera face is very perfect, and so I wanted that level of imperfection there, but without it being so prominent that it dominates the entire rest of the look. But I find the male Viera face for me in general, the aesthetic tastes for me personally needed something to help bring it out a bit of like that perfect look, and I feel that this really fits the bill for solving that and makes it look a little bit imperfect. Now voice is such a personal decision that I cringe at the thought of bringing it up here, but this entire video is really personal preference, so I may as well share this too. I personally went with voice 5 because it sounds very dude bro, but not over the top and annoying while also sounding more useful. But one thing about this voice that stood out to me above all the others was it was more muted and restrained to it. Like the various voices that I chose when I was listening to it didn't sound unpleasant or too much to me, and it also sounded useful and dude-ish, and I'm like, sure, let's go with 5. Anyhow, that's all for my male Viera. I think that I captured the punk rock fantasy well. I'm actually pretty pleased if I'm being serious. Let me know what you think though in the comments below, and heck, what do you want your male Viera to look like?